Hello on the rockers, get out the lashes and heels. On this episode, we will spill the tea with actor-singer Alex Michaels, a.k.a. Alexis Michelle from Drag Race and the stage, with my guest co-host Broadway PR and editorial guru Josh Ferri, with me, your favorite host with the sassy most. Raise a glass and let the drinks begin. It's On the Rocks.
Thank you for being
Boulevard.
Life is a banquet, and most poor suckers are starving to death.
I'd like to propose a toast.
This is On the Rocks with Alexander, where I drink with your favorite celebrities as we talk about fashion, entertainment, pop culture, reality TV, and, well, that's about it. So pop a cork, lean back, and raise a glass to On the Rocks.
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Listen to that applause. Buttons and bows and pantyhose. On the Rocks podcast, a place where we're too glam to give a damn. My favorite quote I heard from this week: anxiety be crippling, but these butt cheeks be thickening. Bloop. Come join On the Rocks on stage as I am your MC for the Glam Drag Show at Orange County County Fair at the fair Sunday, July 30th at the OC Fairgrounds, the Hangar Stage. Go to outatthefair.com for information. As a reminder, drag is not a crime, but me in drag is. I will not be in drag. I'm just your MC. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at On the Rocks on Air, and on Facebook, On the Rocks Radio Show. Send me an email. Book me for a pride, wedding, funeral, quinceañera, bris. I don't care. I'll be there. Info at ontherocksradioshow.com. The show is presented by Straw Hut Media. You can watch and or listen to our now over 300 episodes at ontherocksradioshow.com. You can watch us on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, on the Outlet.tv app, Facebook Watch, streaming with Pride on SVTV, and on Channel 31 on the East Coast. Woo! All right, let's get the show on the road. My co-host today, no stranger to Broadway or happy hour, Josh Ferri, worked in the Broadway community for 12 years before moving to California. He began his career as a press agent for musicals like Spring Awakening and Xanadu, as well as the Public Theater. He then joined the team at Broadway.com before launching editorial content for Broadway Box, where he served as editor for 6+ years, creating the popular and viral YouTube series Dancing Through My Resume, Broadway Bucket List, and 20 Questions in 2 Minutes. We are going to ask a lot more than 20 questions in 2 minutes today. Please welcome Josh Ferri.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be back.
Wonderful, wonderful to have you. So I want to know, what are we supposed to be doing with this strike? Are we supposed to be canceling our streaming services?
They did say to some of the SAG-AFTRA,
I've heard two exact things from two
to support
prominent.
You can cancel, but who's canceling in the midst of summer? There's a new Housewives. Drag Race isn't done. I mean, I could cancel Netflix.
But that's
Nothing's
reality
happening on
TV,
there.
yeah.
But yeah.
But I've heard from two prominent voices from either side. One says, no, you're not supposed to cancel your streaming because we're showing that we need this programming. The programming is needing. It's not going to happen unless this. And then there's the reality TV people that can still work because that's not scripted, so to speak. And I know even some of the drag queens have been called out, being like, do not take gigs, do not take certain studio related stuff. And it's like, well, honey, we still have to pay bills.
I mean, Vanderpump Rules just picked up cameras for their next season after getting the first Emmy nomination for one of the big Bravo shows. And they got boycotted because they were filming somewhere they shouldn't have been, I guess. And people were boycotting them.
Damn.
I don't know.
Anyway, well, keep on the good fight. Whatever part of the industry you are in, obviously everybody's in support of what's right. And some of the details that are coming out as to how Hollywood actually works and how little these actors are getting paid. I mean,
the real thing is that Fran Drescher speech. How did she not have a bigger film career than The Beautician and the Beast? That was amazing. That was amazing.
She watched Patti LuPone's Ava a few times before she did that.
She was giving me that.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. And she did that key change, too, with her voice. Oh, my God. Okay, let's get to it. The man of the hour, Alex Michaels, actor, singer, widely known for their appearance on RuPaul's Drag Race All-Star Season 8 and Dragnificent on TLC, by the way, as Alexis Michelle. Outside of drag, Alex's first love is theater and performing music, which we're going to talk a whole lot about. They've appeared in off-Broadway shows, including Big Apple Circus and Field of Mars Chapter 1, and has appeared in both regional national tours for Hair, Little Shop of Horrors, and Oklahoma. So we're going to talk about that little mix. Alex's album, Loveful, it's so fun. By the way, it came out 2018, but I listened to it over and over again. Is available on Broadway Records and covers everything from the Cardigans to Blondie to Cy Coleman to Sondheim. This summer, Alex has released a series of singles, the perfect bops for the summer: Man Pig, God is a Queen, and I'm Too Much, all streaming. And of course, we know last week, If You Want My Apples, co-written, by the way, by Brandon James Gwynn, one of my friends I met on Vacaya Cruises, by the way. He is so talented. He's got a cute little butt. Let's take a listen. We're actually going to take a little listen from Love Fool. This is Alex singing Sondheim, and the reason that I wanted to play this because it's a very different side of Alex/Alexis that I want everybody to hear. Tony, take it away.
And while it's going along, you take for granted some love will wear away. We took for granted a lot, but still I say it could have kept on growing instead of just kept on. We had a good thing going.
Please welcome Alex Michael.
Yes. Oh, that was beautiful.
Gorgeous, gorgeous. And the reason I wanted to play that because it is a different side, Alex, than, we see you, on the show with the jazz hands and we see the glitz and the glamour. What I love about Love Fool is we see and we hear so many nuances to your skill as an actor, but also as a singer. And again, from the Cardigans to like Sondheim, it's all there. And you sing from City of Angels, which nobody ever does anymore. So yeah, I'm a big fan. What's your relationship with to Sondheim? What were some of the first Sondheim pieces that you, as an actor and as a singer, were like, "This is mine. This is my anthem. This is how I relate to Sondheim"?
So, first, hi. So, I saw the original production of Into the Woods.
Oh, you bitch!
And that is really what started it all for me. I think at that point I had already been exposed to, obviously, The Wizard of Oz and Sound of Music and My Fair Lady and Annie. Like, these were already, and Grease, these were already, like, my favorite movies.
Mm-hmm.
But seeing the original production of Into the Woods, I fell in love with theater. I fell in love with stagecraft. What really blew my mind at 5 years old was how all of these fairy tales, which I already knew, were woven together.
Right.
So that was really just like as a kid, I was like, what? And then Little Red Riding Hood met this, It was unbelievable to me. So I fell in love with that show at a very young age, and this show obviously has stayed with me. I listened to the cast recording on tape cassette.
You had the DVD of the Bernadette, that original version.
Yeah, it was VHS first.
Even more.
And Into the Woods was my first CD I ever bought in my entire life. That it was Into the Woods.
I never owned. I don't think I've ever owned any recording of Into the Woods on CD. Only on. That's a lie. I bought it later. But I now, of course, if I need to listen to that, I listen to it digitally. But anyway,
what's your go-to recording? Who's your witch?
Ooh,
Bernadette. You want to do the original?
Should I go?
Is there any?
There's Donna Murphy bootlegs. I don't know. People.
I love Donna Murphy, but Passion, yes. Into the Woods.
I have seen every major production of Into the Woods in New York City. I saw the original. I saw the early 2000s revival. I saw the one in the park, and I saw the most recent revival, not on Broadway, but at City Center. So I saw it with Heather Henry.
Ooh, yes.
Who was marvelous. But it is very, very hard to touch that original cast. Yeah. Very, very hard.
Alex, I have a little hot topic just to get us started, just to start spilling the tea. Tickets for Merrily We Roll Along, which we know Daniel Radcliffe, Jonathan Groff, and
which we just heard. The song that we just heard is from Merrily We Roll Along.
That's kind of wanted to play it as well, because we know the show has problems. We know the show has always had problems, but to listen to, it's an experience. But to watch, it's like it's like chess. It's like we need a script. But tickets are going for $400. I think the cheapest one right now for the extended run is like $300 and something. What is happening to Broadway when we want 5-year-olds to be able to come be inspired by theater, especially now with everything that's happening in our nation? And now we're fighting against Hollywood for making so much money off of things. What is your take on charging $450 for a Broadway seat?
Art is more important than ever right now. And there are many, many times when I've thought about throwing in the towel, particularly being in the reality TV spotlight has its own beautiful and special challenges. And so there have been many times when I've been like, is this really worth it? And it's when I am messaged by young people who say, you doing what you do, you being yourself, you putting on a dress makes me feel okay. That really touches me because that feels like what that experience, seeing that original production of Into the Woods, did to me. That set the entire course of my life in a direction. And I imagine it would have happened. You know, I imagine I'm sort of genetically predisposed to theater and queerness and lots of gay cultural, what do you call it? Stereotypes. But yeah, if I can impact a young person the way I was impacted in that way, like that's really what it's all about. And so I think we have lost a bit of the importance of the essence of that and what art and what theater and the performing arts are really meant to be about. They're not meant to be something elusive. And yet, just to play devil's advocate for a second, like, there are distinct challenges in the commercial theater. Yep. And for theater to go on and pay many people's livings, commercial theater is important. So it's a double-edged sword because the cost of everything in the world has gone up. I mean, I can tell you as a drag artist, drag expenses have never been higher, and that's because post-COVID, everything just soared. Yeah. So the theater is in a similar state. But yeah, I know there's been a lot of outrage about ticket prices to shows, ticket prices to concerts. It's hard to strike a balance, right? I don't want to go off your course, but I feel like I didn't get to answer your first question, and it's an important one. So let me just wrap up the Sondheim start. So Into the Woods, very sentimental favorite, but I think I saw the roundabout revival of Follies several years ago with Blythe Danner playing Phyllis.
Wow. And Judith Ivey as Sally. And it was my first exposure to Follies, and I immediately fell in love. Pretty much throughout my life, starting with Into the Woods, every Sondheim show that I discovered and digested, I fell in love with. Some more than others, but Into the Woods is the sentimental fave, and Follies is probably the deep fave.
Alex, that's so wild. So similarly, before when you were talking about your representation, I was like, if I, as a younger gay, I didn't grow up on Drag Race. I was already an adult when it came out. But if I did, and I saw Alexis Michelle, what that would have meant to me as a Broadway gay, like doing it at the level you're doing it, the references you're doing, it would have changed probably the course of my life a little earlier. But then similarly, wildly, Follies, but for me, it was the Bernadette Jen Maxwell revival that changed the way I viewed even Sondheim. Like, that show is just so wild. Is that a show that you feel like, because as we know, there's 12 featured women, and outside of Phyllis and Sally, those songs can be interpreted, basically. Is there one of those women that you'd want to be? Is there someone that you want to see Alexis play?
On a very deep soul, spirit animal level, I do connect with Sally. I know a thing or two about unrequited love. And I'm not even talking about All Stars 8. But I don't know what it is, but I've always like gotten down with heartbreak. And
who
so
does heartbreak better than
is-
Sondheim?
There's something, yeah, I mean, it jives with Sondheim, and it certainly jives with Sally Durant. And there was also, Josh, you'll remember, Lauren Ward played young Sally.
Yeah, Matthew
in that
Warchus's
revival,
wife.
that roundabout revival. And when I tell you, like, my heart's never been broken by someone on a stage the way she broke my heart. Ooh, I'm like, ooh, chills right now. So Sally's material, losing my mind, but particularly, I always like really jive with a kind of a random song in a show. Like Follies is a good example. I do sing "I'm Still Here," so playing Carlotta would totally be a thing for me. Absolutely, I like "I'm Still Here" is very much my scene. But the song in Follies that like I just think sums Sally up to a T. It's not even a full song. It's what she sings when she first spots Ben.
Don't look at me.
We bring you direct from Phoenix, live and in person, Sally Durant. There's something so stream of consciousness about what that character goes through in those, few sheets of music. So
That musical messed me up. Where
Sally and Carlotta probably.
I thought, because of In Buddy's Eyes, I was like, I need to meet someone who knows me young, so they always see me in Buddy's eyes. And now I've given up. I'm like, screw that.
Gosh, we go way back, so
So obviously, as a theater fan, loving your Drag Race journey as a Broadway girl, and being like, because other girls have gone on the show and they're like, I'm a Broadway girl, and it's like, well, yeah, you did theater in your high school, yeah, absolutely, but like Alexis Michelle, that's Broadway. Who, and for the variety show, you gave us Gypsy, the quintessential Broadway musical, and I want to know, who's your Rose?
And let me just say, because there's been a little misconception around lately. I am Broadway adjacent. I have never actually tried
Off Broadway.
Oh, no,
you've done
not
off
that,
Broadway. You've done regional.
There's a difference
you've
between
done
the
the damn thing.
references that you're bringing, dressed as Norma Desmond, doing The Witch and Into the Woods, ending with Gypsy. That is way more Broadway than someone, for example, on UK who's been on the West End but then didn't like give you Broadway in the package. Your package is Broadway.
Yeah, I mean it's in these veins.
Yeah.
So yeah, I get it.
But who's your Rose? I want to.
Is my Rose that I've seen live.
Patti LuPone's leaning in real close right now. She's like,
That I've seen live, Patty.
okay.
However,
The day after.
The Bette Midler CBS.
much like a character like Sally Bowles in Cabaret, Sally's not really supposed to be a star. Sally's not really
100%.
supposed to be Liza Minnelli. So similarly, Rose, it's a powerhouse role, and you have to be able to deliver it. But there should be some little whisper, some little hint of why this woman didn't make it on her own, and why she is the stage mom to end all stage moms. And I think Patti LuPone, like Angela Lansbury, for example, is such a force of nature that it's like, well, this woman's a star.
She would have been a star. Yeah.
Right.
And I will say there was something about Bernadette's, because it was a big task for her vocally, and her being on the edge like that kind of gave you that essence of like, yeah, okay, I see this woman was at the community vaudeville, and not a Ziegfeld girl. I get it. But hats off to particularly her whole performance on camera, but particularly Bette Midler's Rose's Turn. Stephen Sondheim, I believe, said that Bette Midler was the one who got Rose's Turn right.
Wow.
Yeah.
I believe it. That was
100%.
everything. Oh my, but also the Get Yourself a Gimmick from that CBS.
Oh, it was great.
After
it
you're
was gold.
done listening to this, YouTube that with Christine Ebersol and Linda Hart and the original Jenny Anydots.
I remember being able to stay up late to watch that because it was live on CBS, and I remember we had the VCR and VHS ready, and it was just, as a kid watching that was so exciting. Alex, I want to kind of shift back. We know a lot about your success. We know a lot about the projects that you've been up to, obviously since you became an international part of herstory. But growing up as a queer boy, you've talked about you did drag very early on. It was just in your nature. Growing up on the East Coast, growing up in a Jewish household, how did you deal with the kind of pressures of what men were supposed to be like in a Jewish family, and then you had this queerness coming out at such a young age in a generation that we don't have all the language that we have today? What was that experience like?
I didn't have, I definitely did not have any sort of religious pressure as far as what it meant to be assigned male at birth. My Judaism was expressed through family history, family culture, and particularly showing love through food. That's how my grandma expressed her love, and she was very affectionate otherwise, but I recipes in my family were passed down, but I never, particularly from the men in my family, at least not my immediate family, nobody ever put any kind of pressure on me to be more butch, more male. So I definitely didn't feel that from a religious lens. And frankly, if I felt any pressures growing up as a young queer person about being more male or less fluid, as I've come to learn that I am, that was more just sort of like me picking up on society, because I was really lucky to grow up in the house that I grew up in. When I was like in preschool, I would come home, even younger, preschool and younger, I would come home from school and dress up in my mom's stuff, and she would let me, totally. So I was very lucky in that way, but I do remember at a certain age that dress-up phase sort of like quieted down, kind of stopped, and I started like playing sports. And
You put what sports did Alex
Rugby or soccer? Did you see that booty? It's either rugby or soccer.
My best. Baseball and soccer were my best. I was great at defense in soccer, and I was good at baseball. I could hit, I could throw. Running,
Well, who can run in heels? I mean, come on.
But yeah, I don't know exactly where I sort of picked up on the pressures to like be more male, because I don't really feel like that was superimposed from my family.
What was it like?
And it was really like, I remember after college, shortly after college, going to my mother and saying like, hey, remember that dress-up thing? It's not going away. And because I'd been dabbling, I'd been exploring drag in high school, in college. And I was like, yeah, this is a part of me. And at the time, I was pretty, I had it in its own compartment. Oh, there's George.
Hi, George.
Oh, hi, baby.
Is that
I have a George.
Is it George after Sunday in the Park with George?
No.
Oh, okay.
Come here.
That's
Hi.
what my George is from.
Hi, George. Oh, he's handsome.
Hi.
He's like, I'm a star. Drag Race for Dogs.
George.
No, the first night I had him, we went on a walk, and he was poking his head into every like crevice and hole. And I was
Curious
like,
George.
Curious.
Curious George. Oh, look at that face. He's got a lot of personality.
Alex,
No, the dog is George.
for For you,
He's
like
very
going to New
resistant
York.
to show business. This is like as much as I can get him like on camera.
Oh,
Yeah, he's like, I'm over it.
You can lay on me. So, what was I saying before talking about George?
No,
he
it was.
distracted me too.
Well, it was after college. You were kind of having the
You were telling
conversation
your
that
mom,
this is not
yeah.
going away.
Yeah. And what I, at that stage and in the years following that conversation, I thought that drag existed as this kind of performative thing for me. And what I came to realize in more recent years is that I have actively always been and still am actively tapping in to my female side, is what I say. Growing up in the era that I grew up in, my lines are a little bit more binary. Like, I do see things in more masculine and feminine tones. And it's really been in really recent time that I've understood spectrum and non-binary identification, and understand that that's kind of where I live, where I fit, because for all the time that I've spent playing dress up, trust me, I have asked myself, are you a woman? And the answer has never been a definitive yes, but it's also never been a definitive I'm a man. That doesn't feel like the full story.
And you know, with that, Alex, what I appreciate too is we also know about your sexuality and your celebration of sexuality, which I love, especially from a Broadway queen and then a Drag Race queen. But
to see Miss Manpig,
yeah,
me, everyone I know, like you must have felt like you broke the internet that moment. Like, that was so being in your realism, all of it. It was just so amazing. Did you feel super free to express that on television, or were
you
part of you
scared?
like, oh, like, I'm a good Jewish boy and now here I am about to be a pig in a wig on the most watched TV show there is?
Well, you know what they say about Jewish boys.
show us, show us.
But there was something particularly kind of cosmically liberating about bringing different parts of myself together in a way that I've never quite done, and to do it on such a visible platform.
Because that's not what you showed season 9. This was very much, I'm showing a new side of the person you knew.
So, and here's the backstory. So, when we couldn't talk about, you know, what we were working on during the competition on season 9, we'd talk about boys. And so I got quite a reputation for my stories in the van.
Oh.
And Pheromone on season 9 crowned me Mystic Pig Continental.
What's your Grindr profile name?
I was
A.
gonna
It's
say,
just
did
A?
any of
No.
did any of these stories lead to season 9 Sister Dick, or no?
No,
Oh, no.
there are a couple season 9 sisters that I would have, but no, it never happened.
I want to know, watching your journey, especially very much your journey, Alexis Michelle. How is the person that we see on television different than the person that your friends know?
Which is a big
how
point
do you
of
feel
contention.
you're portrayed on television?
We got this question. I have to tell you, we got this question so many different ways.
Yeah,
Because people don't know, did editing
that's
do you
not
wrong?
that's not the person who there is. Yeah, it's a piece of editing.
I want to speak diplomatically because what is true is that I am grateful. As I said, being a figure on reality television comes with its very own particular challenges, and this experience on Drag Race, both on season 9 and on All Stars 8, are not without its difficulties, pains, challenges. But I do want to emphasize that I am really grateful for the opportunity. It's been absolutely life-changing. I've been able to make my living as a performer, as an artist. I've gotten to travel the world. I've gotten to meet so many people. I've gotten to add things to a list of dreams I never dared to dream. So I'm super grateful for the experience, but all I'll say about how the view you got of me on Drag Race both times, is this is true of me, and it's true of everybody else you've ever seen on Drag Race, including the judges. You're not seeing a full, complete picture of people.
It's reality
course, of
TV.
course.
It's reality TV.
It's television. There's much more captured on camera than will end up in a 1-hour cut of television. So yeah, there is some context lost, and sometimes that means you're not getting a full picture of a human being. And I think, if anything, I did the crazy things I did. I said the crazy things I said. So it's not like anybody put anything in my mouth. But I am a multifaceted, complex human being, just as everybody else is. And so, yeah, there's a lot of me that you might not know about or might not have gotten to see.
So let me ask this question in a different way then. What do you wish the audience would have seen more of from even the very, from All Stars? What do you wish we would have known more or seen more of?
Look, there's so much I could say, but I am going to try to be my best Eliza Doolittle self and be a good girl. What I will say, that I wish you could have seen is something that was said to me after my talent show performance by RuPaul. And that was just a lot of really glowing compliments about my validity as a theatrical entity, about my place on Broadway, how that's a place I belong, how I have the goods to deliver in that venue, and just for the sake of time, I imagine that we didn't get to see all that. So that is something that I wish we could have seen from this most recent episode, because getting to sing live on Drag Race was something I've been waiting to do.
And sing well, and you did it.
So long.
Because we've heard queens
It doesn't always work
sing
out,
live.
and you did it.
And I want to talk about this weird dichotomy. Some queens be like, oh, she's a Broadway queen. We had this conversation with Blair St. Clair. It's like, oh, she's a Broadway queen. I'm like, you mean she can actually sing live
She's
and
a triple
perform,
threat.
and she can dance, sing, and everything, and it's the same thing. Why is this kind of like the stigma's like, oh, she's a Broadway queen,
it's
and
not even
so she's
that.
gonna be dramatic? I'm like, well, okay, she knows how to do the damn thing. Yeah. Why is there this weird, not bashing, but like, oh, Broadway queen? Why is that that should be lauded?
RuPaul kind of got at it at some point when RuPaul felt that he had to come out as a Broadway queen, as a theater. The way RuPaul said it to me was that people see the theater and see Broadway as something precious. And like for me and for you and for people that love it, yes, it's precious to us, but I think that there's a negative connotation thrown on that like
It goes back to that $475 ticket price. It's precious in that way.
And maybe it's jealousy that you can perform on your own.
All that to say, whatever the edit was, Alexis, what you showed in All Stars 8 was incredible. The face, the hair, the outfits. It was such a difference from season 9 that even if you were like, they didn't get the boy part right, but the girl,
fans even talked about it. They said Alexis is here to slay this season, and you can see, this whole growth and this whole evolution.
Good for you. You made top 4. You got one spot higher than you did the last time.
And I will say, I'll add this to things you didn't hear. RuPaul complimented my face and my makeup the whole season.
Of course.
I don't think we saw much of that, if any.
I have to ask you, because my friend asked me this when I posted that I was interviewing you. Was there any part of you that was tempted to go green at the roast? No,
Not at,
yes.
not at the roast.
Oh,
Not
okay.
at the roast.
Which
You want to know? Okay, so here's the evolution of my entrance look onto All Stars 8. I had a couple different ideas in mind. But this idea of walking in with a Norma Desmond line was like an early inspiration. I thought of walking in the black suit when Norma goes to the studio.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yep.
With the
and
white fur.
saying, I know my way around here.
Yes.
Or walking in with maybe a what do they call what they call the directors?
The megaphone.
Megaphone.
Yeah.
Walking in with that and also in the studio look, but did you catch the tea on Kunt or?
Yes.
So there were different things that I thought of for how I wanted to enter into All Stars, but one thing that I fully thought of was I have always wanted to do a full head to toe prosthetic nose, prosthetic chin, Wicked Witch of the West.
Margaret Hamilton, not Idina Menzel.
Yeah.
Margaret Hamilton realness.
Yeah.
I wanted to fucking do it.
Yes.
And so I did debate walking into the workroom on the first day in green. I also thought, expecting that we would do the reading challenge on the first day, I also thought, how great would it be to read everybody?
Oh, 100%. 100%. Alex, what made you say yes to come back? We know being part of Drag Race Herstory is a huge honor. And you did your debut season, so you did it. What made you say yes? Especially knowing what I see from the outside, the fandom has grown increasingly involved, a little bit meaner. The fandom, I mean, are you fans or not? Because they'll tear down anybody. So all of that pressure, also the way that we saw you in your first season, what gave you the courage to be like, yes? And then what was your strategy?
I had unfinished business. I wanted to go back. I wanted to show everybody that I was talented again, because I definitely got to do that on season 9. I crushed the Rusical. I obviously crushed the Snatch Game. And other challenges. I remember the Good Morning Bitches was so much fun with Pheromone and my other teammates. But where I felt I had unfinished business in particular was in my looks, because even then, even on season 9, I don't know that I fully represented myself aesthetically as the queen and the artist that I was then. And the queen that I am now is certainly very different from the queen I was then. Still with the same kind of foundation and sense of style, but everything's, of course, really elevated and dialed up. And I wanted, and I knew going in the risk I was taking, given my experience the first time and knowing how how things can be received. So I knew the risk that I was taking, and I said, you know what? That's just a chance you have to take, and at least go and look like $1 million at all times. And I feel very accomplished in having done that.
I was wondering, watching you, especially after watching the last season that aired, 15, was
15.
Did you ever have a chance to connect with Lucy LaDuca about, I feel like there's something similar about the way you both were shown as confident, people who were very confident in their talent, that was shown a different way than the way it may have been day to day.
Not only confident, but take what we do very seriously, are very passionate. We care about what we do. We also
and
care
doing high
deeply
drag. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. The mission of your guys' drag is not to just go to the bar and get dollar bills thrown at you. You guys have a persona, and you have a professional skill. You are a performer on stage.
Yeah. But I'm sorry, did you get a chance to connect with Lucy at all about?
Not heavily. We touched base a couple times during her season, but I know Lucy for years. Lucy has been pursuing Drag Race as long as I have.
Wow.
By the time I got on season 8,
What's from season 2? You were auditioning.
auditions. So Lucy and I met on Twitter
Wild.
back in like more than a decade ago. So I've known Lucy for years. We've met, several times over the years, and she's always been a total sweetheart and clearly so passionate about her drag. And I think that sometimes people that take things and take their drag very seriously, it can come across a certain type of way. As, just serious people. And frankly, RuPaul has often said, like, how Ru's mantra and secret to life is, like, don't take it all so seriously. And I think that that's a wonderful goal, but it doesn't come as naturally or easily to everybody.
Well, especially coming from the theater world, I think all three of us did theater early on, and even as a kid, we knew how professional you had to be. We knew how many shows we had to do per week. We knew that we had to bring it. We knew the rehearsal process. There is that
expected in theater that
it's instilled.
it's different than a nightclub.
Yeah. Did you and Lucy ever? Was something like flirtation or like woohoo?
Oh, we never did. I mean, I was always on that train.
I mean, Lucy's trade. Her
So
boy
is
picks.
Alex.
Of
My
course,
God, I would watch that. Okay, I really want to move on from Drag Race because I really want to
one more Drag Race question, and then
Okay.
I'm totally done with Drag Race, and it's about this season.
Are we ever done with Drag Race though?
About the elimination. Well, obviously, you must get a million freaking questions about what happened last 2 episodes of yours, like eliminating Lala, keeping Candy, going the next week.
I'm not sure.
Is there any part of you
that
this isn't about the backstage of it? Is there any part of you that feels like if you had changed your decision and you had gotten rid of Candy, that you would have been in the top 3 or the top 2 rather than the way it all played out?
I cannot say what making that decision would have meant for me in the competition. I don't know, and I'm not going to speculate about it. But going through the competition, going through Drag Race is deeply challenging and takes you out of your comfort zone and can throw you off of your center. And I think that there was so much going on in my head during that time when I had to make that decision that I think I got thrown off my center a little bit. And I think with all the things I thought of and all the things I weighed out in my head, the thing that resonates with who I am, as you were talking about, like who my friends know versus what we saw on TV, the thing that resonates deeply with who I am in my heart is that bottom line, of all the things I weighed, the thing to do would have been to pay back the favor that was just done for me by one of my competitors. So yeah, looking back on it, that is the thing I would have liked to change, and that's not a dig against Candy. I wish I didn't have to eliminate anybody, and Candy is a fierce competitor. I think Candy's a much more fierce competitor than I am. Not to say that my talents or my aesthetics aren't as fierce as anybody's, but my strategy, my game,
she'll cut you in the parking lot.
it's not as strong as some of my competitors, and that's what makes them fierce competitors.
All right, to lighten it up, where's the best trade in the world? You've traveled the world twice now with Drag Race. Where's the best trade? Where can you, like, as soon as I land, my apps are on? Serious question.
You never know where you're going to find it.
No, that is actually true.
It can be pretty amazing anywhere you go, but generally speaking, I have a soft spot for the UK.
Oh my God. I've
love
had
the UK.
nothing but awful experiences in the UK.
Oh my god.
Sticky dick, sticky dick, in the closet. No.
American flag emoji in UK flag emoji. That's all you need to do. Done.
I respectfully disagree. Okay, but I want to transition. I want to talk about the future of Alex Michaels, and I want to talk about your music. And how I want to do that is, Alexis has become such a part of your performance. We know that you have a theater career that has, you've done the damn thing. The recent music that you've put out, which everybody needs to stream, by the way, is under the Alexis Michelle persona. And we know with the popularity of Drag Race, how do you maintain your personal identity as Alex beyond the drag persona? And do you ever feel overshadowed by Alexis?
The thing that I think I alluded to before in figuring out my own fluidity is that for me, there's really not a separation between Alex and Alexis. And that's something I'm still navigating in my personal life. It's a weird experience to go through the world and like interact and see people, and I might be in drag when I see you and talk to you, and then I come back when I'm not in drag, and there's like no recollection from the other person because they've never seen me out of drag.
Yeah, that's a real thing.
And it's very weird for me as someone who feels very much in my own skin, whatever skin I'm in and however I'm presenting. So there is a little bit of a disconnect there that I'm still navigating. And I, when it comes to relating to other people and relationships, I'm still navigating that day to day. This is the conversation I'm having about how I identify and how fluid it is. That's a discussion I have to have with anybody that I'm going to be involved with. So it's something I continue to navigate. And as far as how it relates to my art, again, entertaining is the name of the game for me. I love to entertain on stage. I love to entertain on screen. I love to entertain in the house, cooking a meal for people.
I love that.
Part of the way I show love. Love entertaining in the bedroom. I love to entertain. So the kind of fluidity there is the same with how I present, and whether, the songs that I've worked on with 808 Annie and Mason Rose, those songs, even though the album artwork is a slick picture of Alexis Michelle, the words, the feeling, the music, those are all coming from within me. So for me, there's really no separation between Alex and Alexis. It's really just about feeling and about however I present in a given moment.
And it's funny because you asked him about going to Follies. It's I want to see him play Seymour in Little Shop and sing the very end and that emotion that we heard in that Sondheim clip from Loveful. Isn't that funny?
One of my favorite roles, because I have done Little Shop, is I played Orin Scrivello.
I bet you were amazing during Meek Show and Herrit when you come back as 3 different characters. You must have just ate.
I enjoy that. I enjoy that chameleon nature. That's part of what I love about drag. And I particularly am interested in darker characters. I had this whole backstory about Orin's life, that he's high functioning, making a killing as a dentist, but is clearly drug addicted and using the drugs through his medical practice.
Prequel.
Has a whole other life at night when he's on the streets of Skid Row. So I had this whole deep world developed for Orin, and I'm very intrigued by dark characters in that way.
I think you should write this treatment. A prequel.
I'd watch it.
Yeah.
So we've seen Rosé, Nina West, Jinx. They've all now worked. They've parlayed this Drag Race fame into working in New York, if you could put Alex Michaels in any show right now, where do you belong? Where do you see yourself?
Well, if we're talking about shows that are running, I fully want to manifest a run as Morrible and Wicked.
Yes!
There are several tracks in Chicago that I've always wanted to play for many, many years. For long before Drag Race was on, I knew I wanted to be in Chicago, so that's definitely on the list. Now, a role that would need, it would be a real departure from the current production or the way it's being told currently. I've always wanted to play Mrs. Lovett in Sweeney Todd.
We'll talk about this after. I have always thought this, and I even wrote like a treatment of like goth Hot Topic version of Sweeney Todd, and it dealt with like a non-binary Mrs. Lovett.
She's partnerless. She's childless.
Yeah.
And she wants all those things.
That's exactly. She wants to be the mother and the
then
wife, and she cannot.
That adds
she
an
has
extra
none.
layer of why she
That's
pulls
100%.
Toby and Sweeney so close to
That's
her.
100%.
Yeah.
That's 100%. That's also when they cast a female as the plant in Little Shop of Horrors. There's that jealousy whole thing that I love.
I once heard when I was working in New York that someone said the way Sweet Charity would work nowadays is if Charity and all her friends were trans.
Oh my God, 100%.
Girls in that time,
Keep
and
that idea
that's
to
why
yourself.
they weren't.
100%.
Why she couldn't marry him. Why she
100%.
couldn't have like those issues that were boiling under the surface makes that dated show feel timely.
100%, because if you think about like sort of the context of like if you look at Mad Men, like some of those advertising dudes' wives, like they could have been a call girl, absolutely.
Right?
Like that would have been fine. You could have moved up in the world that way. So I think you're right about like what was like really holding a girl like Charity back.
That makes such sense.
Yeah, I think like revisiting a lot of these stories and through a slightly different lens can absolutely be done. Now that said, there's other parts I want to play. I mean, as a kid, I always wanted to play Tevye in Fiddler on the Roof and Emile Debec in South Pacific. And frankly, I also love the chance to sink my teeth into text when I don't have to focus on the song.
Yeah.
Because there's just it's a different approach. It's a different kind of attention that can be paid when you don't have to worry about singing vocal production. There's still speaking vocal production, but
The Inheritance.
Oh, that was beautiful.
Yeah. I love telling stories in many presentations, many fashions, many styles, and there's a lot of stuff out there that's yet to be written or presented that I'm sure is for me as well.
Alex, so I know we have to wrap up. I know you're on the East Coast.
We can. I don't know how long you go. We can keep talking as long as you want.
Oh, girl, I got a time limit from your PR. Like, we are going to honor that. But I want to get to some topics that your fans have emailed in many, many different ways that I think are really important. You know, the show's called On the Rocks. This is happy hour. We're kikiing. We're spilling the tea. But this is some of the reality of behind the scenes of an actor, a singer, but also behind the scenes of a drag queen. These are the realities. One of the questions is dealing with body image issues. We see the finished product on the runway, but we also see cameras in the workroom showing you in all different states of undress. We know the keyboard warriors are the quickest people to say, oh, that person's too skinny, that person gained 5 pounds, that person looks different from that season, that person had lip filler, all of this stuff. Can you share a little bit about the struggles you've had to overcome in terms of body image and how you've worked through that to become the confident queen that you are?
I've been on a journey, what feels like a struggle a lot of the time with my body and maintaining a consistent weight my entire life. And, you know, seeing it reduced into one scene on season 9 does not tell the full story. Actually, drag has been quite beneficial in understanding and embracing my body. I remember as an overweight child and developing, you know, more flesh in my chest, being so woefully ashamed of that as a child. Whereas now I've come to love and embrace my titties, baby. Like,
Yes.
I am a non-binary person. I got tits. Like, I also happen to be very sexually connected to my nipples, which is like another thing.
Oh my God, you're just putting it out there.
I'm jealous.
We're about to
jealous of
fly
people who
over.
could do that.
Wait,
But,
sensitive nipples?
My nipples are. No.
Oh my God, mine, you could blow on them from across the room and I'll marry you.
Oh, really?
100%.
No, I
Yeah,
understand.
they're
100%.
everything.
100%.
But so yeah, drag has actually been a beautiful part of loving and accepting the body that I'm in. It is a daily journey, and I'm still on it.
And I don't think that journey ever goes away. I think even, and then we deal with like getting older in the LGBTQ community, and that's a whole other bag of issues, I don't think we're ever over that journey. It's how we deal with it from day to day.
I think there is something, as Alex was just saying, like, I've had my own like issues of moving from New York to California. I've gained like 50 pounds. But when I do drag and I'm in a corset and a breastplate and all that, I'm like, none of that weight matters at all. Like, it doesn't really, it all comes together.
Yeah, but that confidence should come for you from your daily. And
well,
bro,
I feel
and we
confident
know
all the time,
you get
but-
play. He's in Palm Springs, by the way. He gets plenty of play. Don't no.
No, but I'm just saying, like, the body difference of like when
100%.
you are two bodies
You're in
and
your
there's
armor.
a boy body and a girl body, and like you feel good about one of those a lot, and you're like, I don't mind so much if I don't feel 100% about the other one, because one of them still makes me feel really good.
But it's also like when we weren't on stage. I can't tell you the times as a kid when I was on stage, I had this confidence. The minute the show was over and I was at school, I did not have that confidence at all. It was this. It was playing that character.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Some more deep questions. Loveful, we know, like we really get to hear your voice. The last few singles that you've done have been a little bit more modern. We've heard some like dance pop, some 80s themes. Was that a conscious choice to be more in the mainstream, or that's where you feel where your life is at right now? It's like a culmination of sound.
Well, talking about different parts of yourself, there's a lot of different styles of music I've always jived with, and disco is one of my favorite genres of music. And I'm particularly into like Dua Lipa. I think her approach to contemporary pop music with this disco flavor or throwback vibe is so mwah. And so that was, Dua Lipa was one of the big inspirations for me and 808 Annie and Mason Rose when we worked, so I know you mentioned God is a Queen, which I put out first right at the beginning of the season because I felt it was really like the tonic to the insanity of the attacks being targeted toward drag right now. And Man Pig, of course, went along with my Man Pig runway. And I'm Too Much was something that was a way of reclaiming those words that are often thrown at people, like, oh, you're too much.
Good for
And
you.
sometimes people say it meaning to be nice, and sometimes people don't.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think those are really kind of potentially harmful words. And to anyone that's been told they're too much by someone, I would say that person is probably not enough for you. But the first song that we actually started writing together is Heaven on the Dance Floor. And that's one that we built from the ground up. Every sound, every chord progression, every instrument, and every word was very collaborative. And it was about building something, letting the feeling rise within you to a point when then like the music takes over and you're on the dance floor and there's just no stopping it. So that was kind of the approach to this new era of pop music for me. And the new theatrical originals that I have out right now with Brandon James Gwynn are, of course, so much in line with my most heart center. Brandon and I talked about what I would do for the talent show on All Stars, and I said, oh, maybe I'll do Let Me Entertain You. And he said, let me write you your own. It will be ours. We can put it out.
He's a genius.
Exactly what you need to do in that number. I will give it to you in an original. And that's what he did with If You Want My Apples. And very excited to say that this Friday, along with the finale, we have a second contemporary musical theater original that sounds like it's from the Golden Age. But
Yes. Congratulations. What's the name?
Can we get the title or no?
It's called Lulu's Shoes.
Lulu's Shoes. Fabulous. What is it inspired by? What Golden Age? What are we about to get?
I would say it's less inspired by a Golden Age tune. It's a bit more Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy.
Fun.
Bette Midler in her
Yes,
shoes.
Bette.
It could be a little bit Lola, whatever Lola wants. I absolutely love that. What I love is that you keep challenging yourself as a performer with this kind of new sound. And Loveful. Loveful is a journey in itself. It's like, yeah, I'm going to sing the Cardigans. I'm going to sing Sondheim too. I'm just going to do it.
That's really the same thing with my drag aesthetically. I've always felt like, what's the point of just being stagnant? What's the point of resting on something? Like, if you can push the needle forward, both with your artistic endeavors and your projects like music, like performing, but also aesthetically. And so that's, it's always, I get bored. So if I'm not fine-tuning along the way, I'm sort of like, what's the point?
So obviously we're all coastal gays. You're New York City, we're California right now. This opportunity allows you to travel through the country, and you touched on before about the laws we're facing, discrimination. It's like we're pushed back to pre-Will and Grace era LGBT existence. What is it like for you actually out there in America, seeing the clubs and the bars and outside of the coasts and what we're up against and what what people are living?
Well, this was coastal in itself because it was an experience I had recently in Florida, but just after or just before? No, just after, just like a day after All Stars 8 cast had been announced, I went down to Florida to Wilton Manors. To
Of course.
I love Wilt. Hunters is there.
And I think the day before I traveled, Equality Florida put out a message saying, you may want to reconsider coming here, visiting here, moving here, living here, if you're queer.
It was the travel advisor. I was in Key West.
Wow.
I had an event at Key West that same weekend. I literally was off the flight and I got this email notification. I'm like, where the hell am I going?
So I did have that momentary feeling of like, do I even want to go? And much in the way that in 2016, when Not My President was elected,
Thank you for that title, by the way. I love that you did that.
well, it's kinder than what I usually say, which is dumb. When Dump was elected, I had a kind of selfish moment of being like, why do I have to live my Drag Race dream in this context? And then I said, just snap out of it and add activist to your job title. So similarly, the what drag artists are being faced with now is being thrust back into a position of activism, which has been at the core of drag since the beginning of the gay rights movement. So while there is something to be said for not funneling money into an economy, a local economy, that is taking away equality and rights for queer and particularly trans people. So there is something to be said for not supporting those economies. However, what do bigoted people want us to do? They want us to disappear.
Go away.
So I feel first and foremost what we must not do from any environment is disappear.
Let me tell you something that happened exactly today. Island House Key West we know is super gay. Island House Key West is the oldest nude gay resort in the nation from 1947. Huh?
She said, "Been there."
No, and so we do events. I got a call last week, and I'm like, the next 2 events we have to cancel. Went to court. Today was the court decision. Some conservative woman goes around the nation, sued them for discrimination against females and non-binary and trans, even though she doesn't care about non-binary and trans, because it's an all-male resort. She won today.
She won?
This establishment that's a historical place in Florida has the keys by the West for Key West. They also displayed the largest pride flag in the nation, is now in danger of being shut down.
That also opens the doors to shut down bathhouses and everything else. That
even gay
is
clubs.
that
Maybe we
world.
can't say gay clubs anymore. We have to say all-inclusive clubs. This is what's happening. And it's really sad. So if you care about this, it's not just posting something on social media to our audience. It's getting the vote out. It's encouraging your allies to post stuff. Anyway, we got another really important question, is how do you maintain your mental health when you're working on so many different projects and you're also dealing with social media haters, which I know we're not supposed to look, but we all look. What's your mental health journey?
Well, when it comes to social media, I had an intention this time around to have other people handle it for me. I don't. My operation is not big enough to just have full-time employees, so I did not have my social media handled in the way that I thought or the way I intended to. So mental health-wise, it was dicey. It was a complete experience. It was lovely and it was not lovely. But I think the most important thing when you're busy, when you're working on a lot, when you're juggling stuff like that, is focusing on real life, focusing on people who know you, focusing on relationships that you have with friends, family, loved ones. I focused on 2 jam-packed, sold-out nights at Joe's Pub.
Yes.
Which is iconic. And you've also been at 54 Below. I mean, talk about dominating New York. That's how you do.
And
so
a club coming.
On those experiences, like, that's how I maintain. That's how I'm like, oh, this is what's actually going on. That other stuff, that noise, that's not it. That's not real life. And I also think it's important to take you time. Like, this business can be brutal. And so whenever you need a break, take a break, keep your passion alive. Don't burn it into the ground.
Alex, if they asked you to come back a 3rd time the way they have some other people, would you come back a 3rd time, or would you feel hesitant about it all again?
Never say never, but for right now, I think I'm good.
You've had the experience.
Well, you're good because you're busy making so much new music.
The way you showed out this year, like, to be proud, really, just stunning.
All right, so this is the second hottest topic that we got so many emails for. Are you ready? Love and dating. Are you? We got this many different
Well,
ways.
we should know she's having fun.
Are you having love or are you just dating?
I am looking for love.
Oh, so you're single.
I am single.
Can we change your Grindr profile name, though? It shouldn't just be A.
Mine's
Well,
just
it's my
J.
face.
I'm kind of with you, yeah. What more do you need than a first initial? This isn't Hinge.
I don't know. But
I
here's the
don't
thing.
know.
Do people think it's you, though? Or people like, this can't be
They're
Alex?
reporting him.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes they say hi and they'll launch right in. They're like, oh my God, I love you so much. And sometimes it's like, are you really?
Yeah. When was the last time you had a Grindr hookup? Be honest.
She's checking the clock.
Yesterday?
Yes.
Oh, good for you. Was it 10 minutes? Was it an hour? Was it a sleepover?
It's New York. It's
Probably
never a
good.
sleepover.
Probably a good 20 minutes.
Yeah.
20 minutes. Okay.
But no, I'm very much looking for love, sometimes in the wrong places. Yeah, I had this idea that going through this drag race experience and traveling the world, that this was a time to be single and not tied down. And there is some truth to that and some beauty to that. But it's also a really intense experience, and having companionship and support would have been and would be really welcomed. So I'm ready, and I will just say, while I'm a native New Yorker, I am not married to this city forever.
We're in LA. Hey, girl.
Go for it.
No, but I've heard the queens that get off the drag race season and they have to travel. It's a very lonely experience because people are just paying attention to some of the lines you said. It's almost like being a Trekkie, and the Trekkie's like, remember in this episode you said this? And you're like, okay, I've moved past this. And so I've heard it can be very lonely and that you want to be Alex at breakfast.
It can be very lonely and very isolating. Really, my favorite way to travel and perform in drag is with sisters, like I'm gonna get to do again this October with Witch Perfect.
What?
Witch Perfect, yes. I think we have a
repping-
picture of you guys.
I'm repping my own merch, which you can get at mybestjudy.com, and I'm repping Witch Perfect because I'm going back on the road with Tina Burner and Scarlet Envy.
Fun.
3 big personalities. What is backstage like? Because you all want the spotlight. Let's just be honest.
This show, both like creatively, like what we do in the show, and behind the scenes, and traveling with these ladies, and with Blake Allen, our genius co-writer and musical director, has been one of the highlights of my entire career.
Really?
I will do this show every year for the rest of my career.
Oh, you look amazing. Look at this.
So it's really an incredible
The detail
show.
is beautiful.
And I urge anyone that can get that's even remotely close to where we're going on tour this year to come see it. It's a very special show.
Wow.
All right, so we found out single, ready to mingle. What's up ahead for you immediately besides the Hocus Pocus? Like, what's up ahead? What are you working on right now?
You know, be sure go and digest all the music out right now. I've got like after Friday, I'll have 6 new pieces of music out to stream. I'm going on tour with the Dolls. I'm going to Australia for the first time in August.
Exciting.
Oh my God.
Congratulations.
I think that's going to be where you find the hottest men, by the way.
Oh, those accents. Goodness.
I do. Well, you know, part of what I love about the UK is the accents, and I know I'm gonna
Oh, it's
find
even better.
accents
And
that
these
I
men are actually hot. Sorry, UK, but no.
They are. What?
Sticky dick, that's all I'm going to say.
Listen, don't yuck my yum,
Yeah.
honey.
Hello.
No, Australia,
As if it's gonna be better in
it's going to
Australia.
change our whole world.
So I'm super excited, and I'm just super excited for everything that's coming. Like obviously we support the strike, but I'm excited for when a fair deal is struck and when we can get back to work on camera, because I love telling stories on camera. I got to do my network debut on Blue Bloods during the pandemic, was like incredible, and I got to do that out of drag.
That's amazing. My mom was so addicted to Blue Bloods, it wasn't even funny. That's like America.
And I look forward to more exciting stuff on stage still to come. It's very much something I'm pursuing, and I'm excited for the right opportunity when it comes along.
Have you always been able to do a split, or did you learn this between 9 and 8?
No. So I, at a really young age,
Work.
I was really bendy, flexible, and I was interested in dancing, and it just wasn't something we pursued. When I kind of stopped playing sports extracurricularly and focused all my attention to performing, my attention was at acting class, voice lessons, and then, you know, taking part in productions. And dance was kind of like in the background. It wasn't at the fore. And my sophomore year of high school, my sophomore year of high school at LaGuardia High School, the Fame School.
Work.
We did a chorus line, and
Who were you?
Yeah.
I was a
Dawn?
cup dancer in the beginning. Oh wait, I have to tell you a really killer chorus line story from LaGuardia. You ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
They put the cast list up, and if you're familiar with her theater credits in Hair and in the national tour Pippin, as well as her appearance on The Voice. Sasha Allen was at LaGuardia when I was.
Wow.
And they put up the cast list, and it said BB, Sasha Allen, and there was a star next to her name. And down at the bottom it said, "Will sing What I Did for Love."
Shut up.
Took What I Did for Love away from Diana. Because, and we had killer Diana. Renee Delio could have crushed What I Did for Love.
Wow.
But they took it away from her to give to Sasha because it was Sasha and that voice. So anyway, I was
That's
a cut
amazing.
dancer in a chorus line, and they wanted to give us more to do, so they let the cut dancers do this kind of pre-show where we walked in to the lobby of LaGuardia High School with the audience, sort of interspersed. Some of us were in, some of us actually walked in the door while the audience was walking in, and we just were in our own world, like we were going to the audition and we were warming up and we were talking to each other. And I had never done a split before, and I remember, like, while I was improvising in the lobby of LaGuardia in my dance clothes and my jazz shoes, just being like, well, let's see. And I just, like, tried sliding into a split, and I was like, oh. And back then I was in high school, so, like, my pussy went all the way to the floor.
Yeah, but you can still get, like, medically in trouble for doing that.
Wow, good for you.
Work.
How do you tuck and do a split at the same time?
I don't tuck like that often, so it's not something I have to navigate. The first time I like really tucked that way, I learned it from Trinity on season 9, and it was when I walked the runway practically nude.
That's the way to learn.
And had I been asked to lip sync to "Greedy" by Ariana Grande, first of all, I was ready, and I would have crushed that, but I would have found out not just what a slow split looks like tucked, but I was ready to do a jump split in that song, so there was going to be some impact.
They were about to start Untucked early that week.
Yeah.
Do you know, this is just me being a Drag Race fan. I wish they would discontinue the death drop, because it's a cheap trick now at this point. We talked to Laganja Stranja, whatever, and at the time, yes. But now it's just like, if we need to take the tension away and have RuPaul go, let's do a death drop. It's like, no, it needs to be. Am I alone here?
I still gotta go for it.
You're alone.
You're the only one.
Okay.
You're alone.
I love
Here's
it.
the thing. Drag Race has
Can't
done
do it,
so
but
many
love it.
wonderful things for the art form and brought it into our living rooms, but it has also kind of codified elements of the art form. It's like, oh, a reveal. We know what a reveal is. We see the reveal coming. Oh, it's a split. Oh, it's a death drop. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's a that. Drag is an incredible art form drawing upon a lot of different skills, both performative and visual. And to me, it's all great. And there's a time and a place for everything.
Yeah.
So, party tricks, there's a reason we call them party tricks. They work.
I just thought of another. Oh, wait, I know we have to wrap, but I just thought of another Drag Race question.
We do.
After your lip sync, you asked one of your sisters. I believe it was either on Untucked that week or the top of the episode next week. You're like, "How was it? I blacked out." How did you feel watching your Boots Are Made for Walk? These Boots Are Made for Walking when you finally did see yourself? Because it was fierce.
Very good.
Yeah.
This is a little behind the scenes, but I don't think it's too much to share. That song was added to our list of lip sync songs later. Pretty soon, not long before it was given to us on the day. And I remember when they added it, I was like, "This is for me."
100%.
And so I knew I could do this material, and I practiced it. But
It's great.
I will say, in all of my 3 times lip syncing for my life or my legacy, there is something kind of out of body that happens on that stage when you're in it.
All right, finally, how do we perfect our Liza impression?
Well, keep shipping on the vodka.
She's sober now.
Yeah, but not full Liza.
Oh, okay.
Not the wrinkle
Yes!
Liza. Everyone wants that Liza. Yeah.
I got my vodka.
Is she? Is she ever? Will she ever? Listen, you can only cleanse the blood so much.
And genetics.
Drink
Yes.
the vodka. Consonants are meant to be multiplied, and enunciation is overrated.
It's a vibrator.
And just like be fucking fabulous. That's how you do Liza.
2 other people have done it after you. Do you watch them and be like, okay?
I mean, you won Snatch Game. I mean,
Here's
is there any
something.
bigger honor?
No,
other
no
than-
criticism to anybody else that's tried it, because those are both good friends of mine. But my thing is, like, if a diva has been done very well on Drag Race, like, move on. If a diva needs to be redeemed, try to improve upon it.
Why has nobody done Abby Miller, by the way, from Dance Moms?
But oh my god, Alexis was the first to do Dorothy, and it was perfection. No one had touched it. There have been 2 Blanches, never a Rose, never Sophia, never Dorothy.
Well,
Bam.
Raven touched on B. Arthur.
Oh, well, there we go. That's literally the outfit.
It's it.
That's the outfit.
Very, very briefly, B. Arthur was touched on, but certainly not to great advantage, or full advantage, I should say. And I knew I was taking a big chance. I took a big chance with Liza, but I knew that was something I could deliver. And in this case, this was someone I cared just as deeply about, knew just as much about, but was more subtle. And there was more at risk in screwing this up. And there was a lot at risk because I knew how much RuPaul loves B. Arthur. So I had to kill this
And the
for
community.
myself, for the
and
queer
the community.
and
Yeah.
for RuPaul.
Yeah. Oh.
What a fun chat. We have pages and pages of
you.
more questions.
I'll back on.
Let's do it
Yeah,
again.
please do.
Let's
We
it
need a part 2. 100%.
after Australia, so we can get the sultry stories.
Oh, we want the Australian stories.
Yeah.
Girl. He's going to come back like Nicole Kidman in like the AMC commercials. Like, it was everything I
Hey, what
believed
about,
in.
I'm going to get an STI koala. What do they carry? They're like, I think they're riddled with chlamydia or something.
Wow.
koalas.
Oh, that is. I did hear that.
Really?
Well, hats off to you. Alex, where do you want everybody to find you and follow you?
I'm on Instagram and TikTok and Venmo at Alexis Michelle Official.
Yes.
And Grinder at A.
Just A.
I'm still on the Devil's Playground Twitter as Alexis Lives. Although now I should change my handle. I think the reason I didn't change my handle is because I was going to lose my blue check mark, but we lost those anyway.
Yeah, who cares?
100%.
So maybe I'll be Alexis Michelle on official on Twitter as well. But yeah, and look for me on the apps, and look for me off the apps. Like, let's meet naturally. Let's find each other in real life.
Oh, I'm flying tomorrow.
At the lobby at the August Wilson, connect
100%.
eyes across a crowded room.
Buy him a
Someone check
ticket
it
to
even.
Merrily We Roll Along.
Well,
That'll be the
Yes.
good first date.
Do that, and don't be afraid to say hi. Like, I'm always happy to say hi to anybody, whether it's just as a sweet chat or a serious chat or a love prospect. Always say hi.
That's so sweet. Alex, what would be your Real Housewife quote?
your
Because we're
tagline?
addicted to Real House. The new cast of Real Housewives of New York. We're addicted.
I love them already.
I just want you to feel, mama.
Mama.
Just like a twirl in the dress.
Yes.
Like, leg. Yeah.
Alex, it's been such a pleasure. I need everybody to stream his last music and also revisit Loveful on Broadway Records. It's
And all the new music coming out this weekend. Good luck in the Fame Games.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. We got to see Alex for Alex.
Yes.
Love it.
Such
Josh.
a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Josh, where can people find and follow you?
Yeah, you can follow me there. Or if
For people
since
that
we're
are
talking
listening.
about drag, you can also follow me at Norma Lee High.
and then you.
Well, that's our show, folks. It's always a grab bag of fun here every week. Big thank you to our engineer, Tony Sweet, our social media clip, Alexis Mendez. Coming up, we have Pitch Perfect, and So Help Me Todd, Skylar Austin is here to talk about his Sondheim celebration at the Hollywood Bowl with Patti LuPone. Yeah. We also have Armando and Kenny from TLC's 90 Days Fiancé, comedian Allison Reese, and more. Please like, share, subscribe so we can continue bringing this fabulous show coming your way for free. And we have to hang on to Alex Michaels Part 2 because we have pages. Yeah. Until next time, stay happy, stay healthy, stay sexy, and if you drink, stay tipsy. Why not? This has been another episode of On the Rocks. Tweet me and slide into my DMs on Twitter and Instagram at On the Rocks On Air. Find everything On the Rocks for free at OnTheRocksRadioshow.com. Subscribe, like, review, and share.